Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video, and in today's video I'm going to be predicting the Batyrgaziev versus Carroll fight. And so if you're new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like video if you do need, like video, and let's get straight into it. So going into this fight, Batyrgaziev is 10-0 with 7 KOs, and Carroll is 24-2-1 with 7 KOs. This fight is for the vacant WBA interim world super featherweight title. Batyrgaziev's last fight was a win via KO in round 5 versus Lucas, and Carroll's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Marriaga. They are both southpaws. Carroll is 32 and Batyrgaziev is 26. This is Batyrgaziev's home country of Russia. Carroll's losses have come versus Hughes in 2020 and Farmer in 2019, and he's been pro since 2012. Batyrgaziev is an Olympic gold medalist. And to speak a bit more about what I've just been saying, like I said, this for the interim title of that WBA belt in which Roach holds. I mean, from my memory, I used to think that interim belts were based upon the champion not really being active and not really given opportunities and not fighting and everything like that. But Lamont Roach has literally just fought. I know he's not been the most active of champions, so maybe that's why. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I just feel like they're possibly giving this interim title shot. Not that it's not deserved, but I just not sure why an interim title has to be on the line for it. I don't know why it couldn't just be made with a different title, or it could just be said as a final eliminator. Either way, we have now going to be making an interim champion, and to be fair, I think it's a good fight. Batyrgaziev has this big expectation upon him coming out of Russia, winning gold, and any fighter that wins gold in the Olympics and does it in good fashion. I mean, it was Tokyo 2021, I believe it was, and since then he's been progressed quite quickly. I mean, he's 10-0 already, and he's already picked up a few belts. He's beaten some undefeated guys with no losses on the records, and he's done it well. He's been looking impressive. He's coming off a very good stoppage in his last fight, and this is, pressure on him, the younger guy in his home country. Carroll, yet again, getting an opportunity to fight in a different country. And I mean, it seems like Carroll's kind of been made for just fighting in different countries, to be completely honest. He's always just travelled around, fought wherever he's really had opportunities available for him, wherever perhaps financial wise it's made the most sense. And now he's got this opportunity here. He has been through many of different fights, many of different experiences in boxing. And I mean, he's definitely got a story to tell, but also at the same time, you could argue he perhaps is past his peak. Not too sure. This is a huge opportunity for him. I mean, if he wins this, then he's right back in World Championship contention, and he's not really been the most active and fighting the best of guys as of recent, but like I said, this is a huge opportunity for him. That Marriaga fight as the last opponent isn't a bad opponent at all. I haven't had a chance to watch that last fight, but I've watched quite a few of Carroll's fights, so I do kind of know what he used to be about and what he is like as a fighter. And like I say, Batyrgaziev's last performance was very good. They are both southpaws, so that could contradict at some point. I think this is, in my opinion, still a step up for Batyrgaziev, but at the same time, Carroll possibly might be on the decline a little bit now. I think this fight is going to show that, whether or not that's the truth or not. But I mean, at the end of the day, he's still not really that old. He's just been in plenty of just wars of fights and things like that, and I think that definitely does play a factor, take a toll. But also at the same time, if you are just so tough, you can seem to be able to continue to have wars even into the not latter parts of your career, but just after you've already had a lot already. And it's just going to be interesting to see when it's going to catch up to him. And this fight will be an interesting one, because Batyrgaziev is very tough and he hits hard and he's got momentum with him, and he's going to be coming, of course, most definitely for the win. To speak about them both individually as fighters, though, Batyrgaziev, he's got a nice high guard. I think he moves well. They're traditional type amateur style things often that you see from Olympic gold medalists or just Olympians in general. They have the high guard, they move in and out quite nicely, and they're wanting to regularly keep at a mid-range. It's not anything too crazy at a mid-range, but they're regularly wanting to keep there. But I think what makes Batyrgaziev different is the fact that he has that power at mid-range, and also the fact he can work angles find gaps, close the distance well, but also find his range well, be accurate in his work. So he closes the distance well because he can be quite far out of range and then be able to come in range quite quickly and then be able to find a shot. And so he has the accuracy there. Like I say, closes the distance well. I think he is definitely more suited at a mid-range, which is really going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because if anybody knows kind of Carroll's style, then it is that of an in-close type fighter. He doesn't really want to be at mid-range. He can fight at mid-range to an extent, but there has been certain fights, if I think back to the Farmer fight, he would pretty much just rush in with his hands high just to avoid fighting to mid range because he knew that Farmer would have the most success there. So he might do that against Batyrgaziev, and that could be interesting to see how he deals with that. But like I said, I do think Batyrgaziev does really good work at mid range. He punches over guards well, he counters well, he can fight on the front foot or the back foot. Carroll can fight on the back foot quite well. I think he can be quite comfortable on the back foot, but I do think he most definitely does do his best work off of the front foot when he has that confident aggression about him. Batyrgaziev works angles well, like I've said. He's quite disciplined in his work, probably the opposite of that of Carroll, but he's very disciplined in my opinion. He is accurate, got good timing. I think he does have quality counters at the same time and was countering Lucas well. He has a solid chin. He took some relatively big shots. Like I say, he has a high guard, so he catches most of them. So I don't know if his chin's been tested that much, but I would say that he can take a shot from what I've seen. And to speak negatives about him, I think he's progressing quickly. It's not a bad thing. Like I say, it's a very common thing to see from Olympic gold medalists. It's kind of what you want, to be completely honest, because if you have that much amateur experience, then obviously the amateur and the pros are vastly different. But if you can settle into the pros and show that you're comfortable enough to keep winning, then I don't see why not you shouldn't be progressing relatively quickly, not stupidly quickly, where it's like you're getting thrown into a world title shot after like 5 fights, unless I suppose you're really deserving it, where some of the best have. But I think he's progressing quickly. I don't know if it's too quickly, but so far he has been stepping up very well to every occasion. He's not, in my opinion, too sharp. I think some of these amateur Olympians are really, really sharp and just razor quick with the punches, bringing them back. And I just feel like Batyrgaziev can leave his punches out a little bit too long. And I also think when I say he's good at bringing shots over the guard, he is good at that. But at the same time, he has quite wise hooks when he's doing it, and so he can definitely be countered when he's doing that. I think he doesn't always utilise his hooks or his bodywork that well. Like I say, he comes over the top with the hook type overhand, and that's probably one of his more aggressive, varied punches other than just the straights. But he doesn't. He sometimes changes levels with the jab to go to the body, but he doesn't really when he has you on the ropes, doesn't really dig down to the body or anything like that. Unlike Carroll, which Carroll really does. He does kind of move in and out on quite a straight line basis. He is quite forwards and backwards with his movements. There's not too much circling. His head can be on the line. I think he can lunge in and overextend with the wide hooks. When you overextend, that can be quite a dangerous combination to be countered with. To speak about Carroll as a fighter though, I think he's very tough. I mean, he's more than shown that in some of the fights he's been in. I mean, if you think back to the Gregati fight, it was just such an amazing kind of war type fight, which was just showing his toughness. And yeah, he definitely has a good chin. I think it will take a lot for Batyrgaziev to be able to get him out of there. Not saying he can't, like I say, Carroll possibly, like I say, wear and tear over the wars that he's been in, but I think it would take a lot. He digs his shots in very nicely, Carroll, like I say, to the body, to the head, just very much aggressive combinations. They're not, stupidly powerful. Sometimes they can be little tap, tap, tap combinations, but, he does like to dig them in. And you can see that he digs them in, even if they're not always stupidly powerful. Pressure, a lot of the time when he wants to put on the pressure and be in your face, he is going to be. He sometimes will just allow an opponent onto him just to be able to see and kind of like work out what they're like. And I think there are certain fights of his where he, in more recent times, has just been inviting opponents onto him to be able to, because he knows he's better than them, and then to be able to just kind of outclass them that way. Maybe that's just makes fights more interesting to him. I know he does want to be in a war, and he is a traditional brawler type fighter. He is not afraid of anything. I think he doesn't really allow you to get into a rhythm. He lets his hands go. He plants his feet well, typically in your face. Like I say, if he can get in his face, in Batyrgaziev's face, how's he going to be able to deal with that? He punches pretty much everywhere a lot of the time. He's got a very good work rate. I mean, he's proven that he can go all the rounds really well, and can he go all the rounds with Batyrgaziev? We'll have to wait and see. This is Batyrgaziev's first time going this 12 round distance if he does, so that could play a factor as well. He is there to be, he's got a good work rate, he finds his way in nicely. He's used to being the underdog, I'd say. Like I say, he's had loads of opportunities, loads of chances fighting in lots of different places, and so I definitely would say he's used to being the underdog. He's got good varied combinations, good body work, and in general, traditional brawler top fight is going to be a very tough test for Batyrgaziev. Negatives about him: he walks onto shots. So with Batyrgaziev timing, he could definitely catch him coming in. He's been in wars, like I mentioned. His head's on the line. He's definitely there to be hit. He stands quite straight on, and when Batyrgaziev really extends his punches and punches with the power that he has, which I think is much more powerful than that of Carroll's, then he could definitely just perhaps push Carroll back, especially if he is just standing straight on and being such a big target to be hit. I think he can struggle against fast movers, possibly against the mover of Batyrgaziev, who, like I say, relatively light on his feet, does move nicely. I think at mid-range, like I say, it's not where he's most comfortable. He can drop his guard, and if he drops his guard against Batyrgaziev, he could get punished. And when he does that, he leaves gaps open. Moving off the ropes, sometimes he can just sit on the ropes and just try and respond back and try and push you back with just kind of the brute force of his combinations, but it's not always the best thing to do because it means he is going to be getting caught with shots in the process. And in general, I think that's where he just doesn't really help himself defensively. And like I say, I do think he has that lesser power than that of Batyrgaziev. Batyrgaziev is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Batyrgaziev will win via TKO in round 10. It's quite a relatively bold prediction to say that you'd be able to stop him, but I think in which the power in Batyrgaziev has at the moment, and Carroll possibly slowing down a bit, I think he could slow down into the later rounds a little bit and then drop his guard, and then you can see the openings come in. Or even if he is just going off brute force, if he can't damage Batyrgaziev too much, we'll have to wait and see if he can on the inside. But when Batyrgaziev, I think, extends his punches, like I say, he could get Carroll onto the back foot, and if Carroll was just sitting on the ropes, then I think he could definitely let off some really strong shots Batyrgaziev and then be able to get him out of there from that. Then who we could go on to fight next? I mean, like I said, it's WBA interim, so WBA champion is Roach Jr., so you never know. But Roach Jr., Eddie Hearn was talking about him versus Raymond Ford next, so we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure Roach Jr. isn't confirming anything at the moment, but if you do kind of compare the bigness is that a word, the hype of the two fights, I would say the Ford fight probably is a bigger fight, but I suppose Batyrgaziev is an Olympic champion, so that's also got some sort of hype behind it there. If not, Nosian is top ranked in WBA at the moment. He's kind of just got himself there from a few wins, beating nobody major yet, but that could be a good tough test against another undefeated guy who, like I say, is ranked very highly. And if not Zalbek, I think Zalbek would be a very good test. He's been progressing with Wasserman, but not, like I say, not really fighting anybody too big either, and so that could be a very tough test for him and a very good test, and that would be a fight which I'd be very interested in seeing. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like if you did like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.